Does God talk to us outside of Scripture? Hi, my name is Ted Rosenblatt, and this is Talks with Dad Rod, and I'm here with my father, Dr. Rod Rosenblatt. It used to be in the day of, back in the days of the prophets, that there was direct revelation. God was highly directly connected to his people, and things were communicated that way. Now it's a different bag in the after the days of Christ and in the days of the New Testament.
The term you'll often use in Christian or here in Christian circles is cessationist. In Jude, there's a reference in Jude, earnestly contend for the faith once for all delivered to the saints. Early when I came out of my agnosticism, I had a short chapter in what we call charismatic Christianity. I found out later so did R.C. Sproul, and I had to think my way out of that. Even in seminary, I had to be pressed till that was gone. And the rock on which it crashed was the Pentecostal claim that they could not distinguish for me well the difference between the text of Holy Scripture and what their local prophet was saying. And they couldn't. So I was driven back to the Reformation sola scriptura. We're drawn, all of us are drawn to the possibility of direct revelation. And that's unfortunate. I'm a cessationist. I think there's good reason to say the faith has been delivered in the Old Testament through the prophets, Mosaic, and in the New Testament through the apostles and the giving of the New Testament text to the apostolic writers and their cohorts. The yearning for God to talk to me is extremely attractive, as I said, and especially to Americans, because we're down deep pragmatists. That'd sound really good to me. But the biblical position is you are dependent on what the prophets wrote. You are dependent on the writings of the New Testament. You're going to have to live your whole life with that to sustain you, not direct revelation. And think about the other way. If you have prophets in your group that are getting all these revelations, do you really put that on the same level as the text of Scripture? I hope you don't. But it's there all the time, particularly in the Pentecostal branch.
Wouldn't you expect that there would be some effort to validate anybody's claims along the way? I mean, that sort of thing was done in the past.
Yeah, and go ahead and try that, and you'll end up the same place I did and R.C. did. This is not like Scripture.
So when somebody has that sort of experience, or they have somebody who says they've had that sort of experience, where do you tend to go with that sort of a discussion?
It's not self-validating. Well meant, maybe believed deeply, but no biblical warrant for it. It's simply not undergirded that the Bible promises to generations until the return of Christ some prophet, some new thing.
It does not.
It does not promise that. I think of the girl in the book of Acts who came after Paul and his crew, yelling at them down the streets. These men are sent from the Most High God, and they're here to proclaim to you the way of salvation. And finally, Paul turned on her and cast a demon out of her. And her owners were furious because she was their income. And she was right.
But it reminds me of Jesus telling, when demons would start yapping through people, and he'd tell them to shut up.
Yep.
Was a pretty good translation in our current vernacular. Shut up.
They were the first ones to recognize him. What have you to do with us, Jesus, Son of the Most High?
And he wanted them to be quiet.
Yep.
And how many times, now I always love this in Scripture, It's like God really understands our nature. We're just going to go exactly the opposite. Don't look down. We're going to go exactly the opposite. You always teased me about that as a kid. Now the only thing I require is you don't tell anybody anything. Every time.
Sure.
Jesus would say, Jesus would say that. And it's like all of a sudden it's just the gossips run amok. Woo!
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, getting the demons to be quiet in certain points because it doesn't suit where this thing is going to go.
Yep.
And they understand that, of course. But the point being that there are, you and I talked about this before. There are many spirits.
Yep.
And getting voices that are telling you things. Like you always, hammered on the Ouija board concept back in the day. You don't know who's on the. Dad said the problem with the Ouija board is that it works, not that it doesn't. Yeah. And you don't know who's on the other end of the phone.
Yep.
And stay away from that stuff.
Yep.
We're told to not do divination and that other dark arts stuff. You stay out of there. Yep. Don't do that. But we are always tempted to go to
Scripture is so deep and so wide, you'll spend your life and still not exhaust it.
But we get bored of it so quickly. It always reminds me of the
Dr. Horton's line is, but it has so many pages.
It smells old and dusty. Well, not my digital version. That one's better. It always reminds me of the hobbits traveling and eating the lembas from the elves, and it was just so great in the beginning, but so quickly did they get tired of it. They were just like, oh, I have to eat another one of these crackers.
Israelites and the manna.
So annoying. We get so tired so quickly. And it would be the same if it were a steak.
Sure.
If we had the same wonderful steak every single meal, we'd just be like, okay. We get bored and we go seeking for the thing that's fun and different and new. Always new. Always. And I think that temptation is part of what's going on here as we make these decisions. That's the same old dusty book Granddad used. Really?
Yeah.
I want something much more interesting. Can we do something, the brand new fun, but the word, once we sit, we hit certain parts in our lives and certain things happen. We lose relatives to death. People are sick that we really, really don't want to die. We're in the age of COVID right now. People are hospitalized and, they're on breathing assistance or something. And they're just scared to death that they're going to lose somebody. What matters at these points?
Yep. The promises, God's promises in his Son.
And where do we get that word?
Only from Scripture.
All right. And that's where the things usually tend to go like this a little bit when we seem that we've gotten direct revelation. It's funny how things go like this.
Yep.
The new word seems to not jive with the actual word, the one that we trust. Hope this is helpful to you. And come by 1517.org for more, and we'll catch you online on the social media and so forth, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for joining us on Talks with Dad Rod, part of the 1517 Podcast Network. This podcast and all 1517's content is made possible through financial support by listeners just like you. Please visit 1517.org for more. And please consider clicking on the donate button and making a recurring or one-time contribution to help us share this good news in a world which so desperately needs it.